Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this fun fold card with products from Stampin' Up! I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. I also have links for the products that I used, and if you want to click those links, you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. The whole layout for this card is different than most of my cards. This piece, this back piece, is 1/4 of a piece of cardstock, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The card base that opens up is 4 by 10 1/2, and so I'm going to score it at 5 1/4. So this gives me my card base that opens this way. I have 2 pieces of basic white that are 3 3/4 by 5. So this is one of the pieces of basic white. This is the other one that I'll show you how to do the background. I need a piece of black for this die and a piece of white, and I've actually already cut this one out. And then I have a piece of fresh freesia. So I'm going to score this on the diagonal. I'm just putting the points in the middle of this track here and using the light scoring blade. And then I have a piece of Designer Series paper. This is from the Delightfully Eclectic Designer Series paper, and this is eclectic. It has designs that go with lots of different things that are new products. Also just lots of different patterns and designs. And it's one of those really large packs. And I think you get 4 sheets of each colors. And this is actually enough for 2 of them. So this started out at 2 1/2 inches square. I want to stamp with this really large stamp. And we do have a really large block. I do own one, but even though I have big hands, I find it a little unwieldy, and it actually might be easier to just leave it on either your table or in the stamp case. In this case, I have it on a clear cutting plate. We just need it supported and flat. I'm using the white craft ink, and I'm going to ink this up. And I want to put this in the middle, so I'm going to put this over the top. Put a piece of scratch paper over it and rub it. I just want to be sure that I don't move it around. And you can also use a block to give it more even pressure. And pull it off, and that's good. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. The craft ink does take longer to dry. One of the good things about it taking longer is it's really good for using with our embossing powders. While that's drying, I'll bring in that same scrap of paper, and I have some more prep work to do. I'm going to get out I'm getting out one of those white pieces of paper. I've also taken a piece of window sheet, and this is 5 by 7. I've already used the dots and spots dies. I will tell you that with the window sheet, you do have to run it through a number of times to get it to cut out, but I'm going to use this as a stencil. and I'm going to use it with my blending brushes. And I'm using Fresh Freesia ink. And once I decide where I'm going to put this, I want to hold this still. And then I just need to brush on the ink from my polka dots. If it moves around, it's okay. You just need to put it back and put those dots coming through. Just line them up. And I plan to keep this window sheet in my dots and spots case. I keep my dies in stamp cases, and I do have case inserts on my website. Whoops. Under Getting Organized. And I have case inserts for all kinds of things that might fit in a stamp case. And I have a couple of oopsies there, but I think it will be just fine. I'll probably put my label right there. I don't know that I said, this is the Countryside Corners stamp. It's one single stamp. And it also has the Countryside Corners dies. And so this has all these layering dies. And I'm also using Crafting With You. I'm using this stamp and the greetings. So I'm going to stamp the flowers right now. I'm going to stamp the Fresh Freesia right here on the edge of this. Looks like my other piece of basic white. I'm going to stamp this in the corner. And then I can go ahead and put this on the inside. I'm taking that square that I scored at the diagonal, and I'm going to go ahead and crease that. I'm going to put this over here. I want to put my Designer Series paper on here, so I'm going to put glue. I want to get the glue pretty close to the edges on this. And I want to put it just on the side of the crease so that it lays nice and flat there. And then I'm going to put glue on this side, opposite of the Designer Series paper. And I don't want to get my glue too close to that crease. And I'm going to put my card here. And I do think it's a good idea to use the liquid glue for this, because we want to be able to close this, and the liquid glue is a little bit forgiving while it's still wet, so that if it needs to scoot itself over to make room to go over that 2 layers of Designer Series, because it needs to be able to fold over the 2 layers of cardstock here. We're going to cover this up by gluing it on here. We're going to put this on, and I'm going to keep this on the left side because I want to cover up the smears. And I also want to stamp this in tuxedo black. This is where my greeting's going. And so I'm going to ink that up and stamp right over the flowers. But there's enough contrast so that shows up just fine. And I'm going to cut this out. The directions for this machine say to use the white platform, but I think it works better with the gray number 3 platform. And I have taggers to go with this Countryside Corners, and this is kind of nice for deciding what size you're going to want to use. I decided that the number 5 die was a good size for that stamp. And so I'm layering it with the number 4 die in black. So I'm going to cut that out now. Covering it up with a second clear plate. And I can go ahead and put dimensionals on the back. When I put dimensionals on, I want to have dimensionals all the way on the end on one side, and then in at least an inch or so. So this is basically going to be a square here. I'm going to be using this to hold my card flap closed. So this is going to go over here, and I found that it worked really nicely if you line up this point and this point with the sides there. And then we'll put more dimensionals here. Now, I generally don't put 2 layers of dimensionals on a card because it does have the potential of costing more at our post office. I found that it depends on which clerk you hand it to. I suspect that if you just put it in the mailbox, it would go through the mail just fine. And that's all there is to it. So you have to undo it here, and when you put it back in, you can kind of do that. And that's it. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Just click the links and you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! Click Home near the top of my page and you'll find lots of resources. Under Shop, you can find the products I offer to make crafting more convenient, how to get free products with my frequent shopper rewards, and a link to my online store at Stampin' Up! Click Inspiration to scroll all my projects back to 2011, most with detailed directions and videos. Though the products in those older projects have been retired, you may find techniques, layouts, or color combinations to inspire you today. If you're new to stamping, you might want to look at the basics. You'll find how to cut card bases and layers, and some of my favorite tools. Under Organization, you'll find lots of free resources such as catalog tabs, labels and case inserts, color tools, and much more. More organization means more time for stamping. You can learn about my Evernote notebook. I have a note for every current product that Stampin' Up! Has for sale right now. It really makes finding just exactly what you want very easy. And you can create your own notebook and search through all of the things that you own to find just what you need. Come stamp with me here in Ventura County, California, or get the best deal of all and join my team of crafters. The team is called SIP Together, and it stands for Stamps, Ink, and Paper Together. Be sure to subscribe to my website and on my YouTube channel. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon.